Hello and welcome to the webinar on the direct sales functions available within Counteract. The webinar will cover the content outlined here. Firstly, let me define exactly what we mean by a direct sale and a contract in terms of Counteract, as sometimes these terms are used differently. So within Counteract, a direct sale is any sale where the items ordered are delivered by the supplier straight to the customer. The items are never receipted into stock. If a direct sale is set up and items are called off for delivery as they're required, then this is known on Counteract as a contract. All of the functions relating to direct sales and contracts are found within Sales Order Processing Direct Orders. Direct orders are kept separate from normal sales and orders because direct orders have no link to stock control within Counteract, whereas sales and orders can be linked to stock control. Let's work through creating a direct sale for an account customer. Click on Direct Orders, enter your salesman details, then choose Option 1. Details of the direct are entered on a number of tabs. First, complete the customer and delivery details. The main tab is where the supplier details and the required date for the direct are entered. On this tab, you can also turn the direct order into a contract, i.e. a direct that will have call-offs rather than being delivered in one delivery. We'll cover creating and managing a contract in a later section of this webinar. Items are added on the Items tab in exactly the same way that items are entered when using sales and orders. Specific items can be searched for using the item code or its name, and new and existing special items can also be searched for. It's worth noting here that products can be set up as direct only within the price book, and so they can only be found in a name search from within direct orders and will not be seen when creating a normal sale ticket. I'm going to search for some items using a basic name search. A direct order can have third-party Haulier information recorded against it, and a Haulier advice note can be printed if required. The Haulier must have a supplier's account on Counteract. If it is acceptable to show the haulage as a separate line on the customer's invoice, then this can be achieved by setting Yes to Charge Customer. Type the text required of the haulage charge line, exactly as you want it to appear on the direct order, and enter the price charged to the customer. If, however, you do not select to have the haulage shown as a separate line on the invoice, then every item's selling price must cover the cost of the haulage, and an expected haulage cost should be entered. When all details are correct, click Save and Close to complete the direct order. Options for printing or emailing of the purchase order, the customer acknowledgement, and the Haulier advice are now shown. All of the documents linked to one direct will have the same document number. Make the selections you require and click OK. If the customer's requirements change or the supplier is not able to supply exactly what has been ordered, then a direct order may be amended using Direct Orders and selecting the option to Amend Direct Order. It may also be reprinted using this option. Amending and reprinting can be done up until the supplier invoice is checked. You can view a direct order using Sales Order Processing, Inquiries, using the Display Direct Order button. Find a direct order using the customer's name, the supplier name, or the order number. Double-click on the direct order you want to view, and all of the details can be found under the various tabs. You can see here that the Sales tab is greyed out, That's because a customer invoice has not yet been raised for this direct order. Similarly, the Purchase tab is greyed out because a purchase order from the supplier has not yet been checked in. You can also reprint the direct order from this screen. The Summary tab is designed to show you all of the different supplier and customer values associated with the direct order. This screen will look different depending on the stage of processing of the direct. The direct order WIP Excel extract, covered later in this webinar, will also give you these details. To view the direct order on the customer's account, go to Sales Ledger, Inquiries, display the customer details, and find the customer's account. At this point, the direct order is in the Work in Progress tab. You can see it here because direct orders are selected at the bottom. In a similar way, you can see how the direct is shown on the supplier's account using Purchase Ledger, Inquiries, and display supplier details. If I look for the supplier, I can then go to the Work in Progress tab, and here I can see all of the direct orders that are on this particular supplier's tab, and it will be this one here that's the direct order for our customer. Delivery of the goods can be confirmed, although it's not mandatory. Use Direct Orders, select Confirm Delivery, and search for the direct order in the usual way. A delivery date and a delivery note number must be entered. On the Items tab, you can amend any quantities of products that changed from the original direct order. Confirming the delivery like this gives the opportunity to produce a sales invoice ahead of the purchase invoice being checked. If Invoice Customer Now is selected, then the direct order becomes a confirmed advice note, ready to be invoiced at the next invoice run. The advice note may be changed up until the invoice is produced, and the advice note number will be the number of the direct order. If the customer is not invoiced here, then an advice note will automatically be raised when the purchase invoice is checked. The supplier's purchase invoice should be checked using Direct Orders and selecting option 7. Find the direct by searching by customer, supplier, or order number. Note that a link can be set up between direct orders and the purchase ledger, so that when the purchase invoice details are entered via this option, the invoice automatically goes onto the purchase ledger, and this avoids rekeying of invoices. Enter the invoice details exactly as they appear on the supplier invoice. If the purchase invoice matched the original purchase order, then just click Save and Close to complete the check. However, if the invoice value differs from the original order value, then there are two options available. If the invoice details have just been entered incorrectly, then they can be amended using Update Invoice. Or, if the quantity or cost of items invoiced is not the same as on the original direct order, i.e. the supplier delivered more or less or has charged different costs since the order was placed, then the items details can be amended by double-clicking on the item line and updating the relevant details. It's essential that the quantities or price entered on this product screen is the one that you agree to pay, because the entry you make here is regarded as the actual cost, and it's this which is used as the cost of sale and therefore affects your gross margin analysis. When all details are correct, click Save and Close to complete the check. At this point, if a customer advice note had not been created when confirming the delivery, then a customer advice note will be created. If the link between the purchase ledger and direct orders is switched on, additional invoices, Haulier invoices and credit notes may be entered, in addition to the one supplier invoice that can be checked using Check Purchase Invoice. To enter a haulage invoice, use Direct Orders and select option 11. Find the required direct by searching by customer, supplier or number. Select to enter Haulier advice at the top of the screen, then enter the invoice details exactly as they appear on the Haulier invoice. Click Save to file the invoice. Let us now create a contract for an account customer. Use Sales Order Processing, Direct Orders and select option 1. Add the customer details. On the Main tab, select the Contract option. You then need to enter a completion date for the contract. On the Items tab, enter all of the goods required over the lifetime of the contract. Finally, add details of the haulage costs. The haulage costs entered here should be the haulage costs expected over the lifetime of the contract. When all details are entered, click on Save and Close to complete the contract. Then select your printing requirements for each of the documents produced. To create a call-off, use Sales Order Processing, Direct Orders and select option 5. Find the contract required using customer name, supplier or contract number. The contract is shown as a direct number followed by a 0. Double-click to open the contract. On the Main tab, enter the date of the call-off. On the Items tab, enter the quantity of each item required in this call-off. At the bottom of the screen, you can see, for any highlighted item, the contract total required, the total called off so far, and that number includes this call-off, and the total delivered so far. On the Haulage tab, update the haulage costs with the haulage costs for this call-off. Click Save and Close to complete the contract. Let's now raise a second call-off for this contract. You can see that the original contract has a 0 as the final number, whereas the first call-off is marked with a 1. A new call-off can be created either from any existing call-off. This is useful if a second call-off is to be a repeat of the first, for example, or a new call-off can be raised from the balance of the contract, useful if this is the last call-off of the contract. Finally, a new call-off can be raised from the original contract. We will do this now, so double-click on the original contract. Continue to raise the second call-off in the same way that the first call-off was raised. Confirm the delivery of a call-off using Direct Orders option 6. Find the required contract and select the call-off you wish to confirm. Enter the delivery date and the delivery note number. On the Items tab, check that the quantity delivered was correct. Adjustments to item quantities can be made here if needed. If Invoice Customer Now is selected, then the direct becomes a confirmed advice note ready to become an invoice at the next invoice run. Checking invoices against call-offs is done in exactly the same way as checking suppliers' invoices against a direct order. Full details of that process were covered earlier in the webinar, including how to manage invoices that do not match the original order or call-off. So I'll just recap the important points very quickly here. Use direct orders and select option 7. When you find the required contract, all call-offs against that contract will be displayed. Select the one required and enter the invoice details. Save and close. At this point, if a confirmed advice note had not been created when confirming the delivery, then a confirmed advice note is created now. Invoices for other call-offs should be checked against those call-offs in exactly the same way. Now let's create a direct for a cash customer who will pay up front. Use Direct Orders, option 1, and select Cash on the Customer tab, then enter the customer's details. Enter details on the Main and Items tabs in exactly the same way as covered in creating an account direct sale. Click Save and Close when all details are correct. A payment screen is now displayed. Enter details of the payment being made, and choose whether to print an invoice for the customer. At this point, a control file setting determines whether the customer's invoice is confirmed automatically or not. Having the setting so that the invoice is not confirmed allows the invoice to be changed, and this would be helpful, for example, if the delivered quantities are different to that on the original order. However, if your system is set so that cash direct invoices are unconfirmed, then you must manually confirm them using Sales Order Processing, Confirm Advice Returns Notes. A cash direct for a customer who will pay on delivery is created in the same way as the cash direct for the customer who pays up front. However, when you get to the payment screen, if no payment is entered, then the direct becomes a cash on delivery. There are two routes then to entering payment for this direct. Firstly, if the delivery is confirmed using Direct's Confirm Delivery, as shown, then the payment can be entered on the closing screen. However, if the delivery has not been confirmed and the purchase invoice has been checked, then the payment has to be entered using Sales and Orders, Options, and enter a COD payment. You can search for the direct using the customer's name or the invoice number. A direct can be recalled from a quotation. If the quotation has its marker set as it's a quotation for directs, then simply use Direct Orders and select the option to recall the quotation. You then have a number of options as to how you want to recall the quotation. Select the ones you need, press OK, and the quotation has been turned into a direct. If a supplier sends more than one invoice for a single direct order, then the direct has to be converted into a contract. This is because if the first invoice received is checked in the normal way, then it is impossible to check any more invoices against the direct, and the customer wouldn't be invoiced for all of the goods. If you know in advance that a direct is going to be delivered and invoiced in stages, then create it as a direct contract in the first place. Use the option within the Direct Order menu to change a direct order into a contract. At this point, the direct is turned into a contract with call-off number 1 already created. When you look for the order now, you'll see there are 2 versions of it. 0 and 1. The first call-off will be an exact replica of the main direct contract, so it needs to be changed to match the invoice. Use Amend Direct Order to change the quantities on the first call-off. Now use Check Purchase Invoice on call-off 1, and this invoice should match your first supplier invoice. When the next supplier invoice arrives, use the Create New Call-off facility. Check your supplier invoice against the newly created call-off. As each call-off is checked, a separate advice note is created on the customer account. Note that once you've checked an invoice, a direct cannot be turned into a contract. So if you have already checked the invoice for part of a direct order, you will have to use Change Cancel advice notes to add further goods to the invoice or to create an additional manual advice note. The supplier invoice will need to be entered using Enter Additional Invoices, or it can be posted directly to the purchase ledger. The Direct Order Work in Progress or WIP report gives a fast way of reporting on directs or contracts and includes numerous options so that you can produce exactly the report you need. The report itself can be viewed in a number of ways: as a screen inquiry, a text report, or an Excel spreadsheet. One of the benefits of a screen inquiry is that it allows you to drill down into the direct using the Display Direct Order function, so that you can see all of the details of a direct from within the report itself. You can choose to have the report only show summary details. This is a list of basic information for each order, including haulage and purchase invoice details. Or if a detailed report is selected, then extra information, such as the products to be supplied, is included. When an Excel extract is chosen, there are additional options for the type of detailed report. These options show all sales ledger and purchase ledger transactions and can be used to reconcile the financial overview of everything connected with each direct order. Layout 1 shows each transaction on a separate row. Layout 2 uses the lowest number of rows possible. The report can be based on selected parameters. For example, you can produce a report showing only directs required by certain dates or ordered between selected dates. You can also produce a report showing only those directs or contracts for selected customers, buyers, suppliers, products, or hauliers, or some combination of any of these parameters. If a screen inquiry or text report has been selected, then your report can be ordered in various sequences, including order number, required date, customer, or buyer. Finally, the report can be filtered to show only those directs with a certain status. A current order is an order which hasn't yet had a purchase invoice passed. A delivered order is an order where the supplier delivery has been confirmed. And invoiced is an order which has had the purchase invoice passed. Similarly, if you filter the report to show only selected contracts, then the options are as shown. It's worth noting that when selecting for certain contract orders, all of the call-offs for a contract are listed, not just those which meet the selection criteria. Just choose the options needed for your report and click OK for the report to be produced. Various control file settings can be used to tailor the way that Direct Orders works to suit your business needs. The following is a brief overview of some of the options available. The first setting determines whether a cash invoice for a direct sale can be amended or not. There are a number of options to control which customer documents the supplier's information is printed on, and if it is printed, exactly what information is shown. There are also numerous printing options. This option is relevant should you want to schedule hauliers for directs using the delivery scheduling facilities within Counteract. Vehicle delivery scheduling can include direct orders where the haulier has a specific account number. This account number would be a dummy supplier to indicate that your company is collecting the goods and delivering them to the customer. Here, if the direct includes a special, you can opt to store the supplier against that special. This final option allows a product group to be stored for haulage on directs. This saves having to enter a code every time haulage is included on a direct. Should you want more details of any of these options or want to discuss them, please contact Border Support. Thank you for taking the time to watch this webinar. We hope that you have found it useful and informative. Please contact Border Support if you have any further questions or queries.